Gotland is in a strategic position off Sweden. It's the biggest island off sort of the southeast coast of Sweden inside the Baltic Sea. It's an area that is occupying a strategic position because it has got effectively control over everything that's coming into the Baltic and everything that's moving through the Baltic. And the areas that are of greatest interest are Russian shipping that's moving up into St. Petersburg in Russia, but also Russian shipping that is coming out of St. Petersburg or moving into Kaliningrad, or coming directly from the North Sea and from the Atlantic into Kaliningrad, which is that little bit of Russia that has got a Baltic coast that was ceded to it after the Second World War to give Russia access to a port that doesn't freeze over through the winter. So as I say, about 350 kilometers away. After the Second World War and through the Cold War, it was demilitarized. That was part of an agreement that Sweden had with Russia not to militarize it because of its strategic position. However, not long after Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine in 2014, where they came and occupied Crimea, Sweden got nervous and came up with a plan to militarize Gotland from a defense perspective, creating the Gotland Regiment, which consists of not just troops, and their ambition is in a few years' time to get it up to about 4,000 strong, but with main battle tanks, the German Leopard series of battle tanks, the Swedish produced CV-90 infantry fighting vehicle and the variants of that, and various air defence and air force capabilities as well, so that it is becoming a militarised offshoot or outpost for Sweden in that particularly contested area that was, or the anticipated contested area in the Baltic Sea. Of course, now that Sweden and Finland have both acquiesced to NATO, the Baltic Sea is known as the Nato Sea, and it's a hostile area for Russia to try and carry out any military activities in. Gotland is important to countering Russia's shadow fleet because they all have to pass there or come close to there if they're heading for Kaliningrad, but more importantly up into the oil terminals that are around at St. Petersburg. So it gives a perfect point for Swedish security services or military to intercept shadow fleet vessels. But then again, they have to come through Denmark, they have to go down the southern part of Norway, past Sweden, and then up towards Finland. And of course, on the other side of the Baltic, they've got Poland, Germany, Denmark, and the Baltic states. So it's really a difficult area for shadow fleet ships to operate in if the political will is to stop them and to intercept them. The Swedes will increase their capability in Gotland, as with their other islands, and the Finns will probably increase their capability in Åland, because the threats into the Baltic Sea are significant, given the tensions that there are with Russia. But Russia has got a tiny little element of it now. 12 miles territorial water around Kaliningrad, 12 miles territorial water from St. Petersburg, and its immediate surrounding area. The rest of the area is completely controlled by NATO nations, and therefore it's really containing Russia and stopping it using that from an expansion perspective, forcing Russia to have to use its northern bases to get its military and naval capability out into the Atlantic Ocean. And of course its northern bases are frozen over completely the whole way through the winter. So that is really constraining what Russia can do from a maritime perspective out into the North Atlantic.